Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boss Rush Book Club, episode 1. I am your host, ADV, getting my words tangled, but that's all right. I am so excited to be doing this with my two fellow guys, my bro hands, my loves. Of course, it's the wise Wisconsinite, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
How's it going, everyone?
And Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Derrick.
We are like those Oops Oreos, where the white's on the outside and the chocolate's in the middle. Yeah.
Oh, I love those stuff.
I know, they're so good.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're watching the
Jesse.
video version, you'll get that joke, because Ed's in the middle and Jesse and I are on the outside. It's funny. Okay.
I was just gonna say my favorite are the lemon. I like the lemon ones. My wife was the one who got me into those.
Those are hard to find, though.
Yeah.
When you say the stores have them, those are they are good. What you gonna say, Corey? Now?
Oh, nothing. I'm done.
Sorry,
I'm
cracking jokes.
I'm looking at our cool new hoodie in our store, and it looks really good. So.
Ooh. Would you like to talk about that, or should we say?
I can, just for a second. We opened the store officially on Redbubble, so if you go to bossrushgames.com and click on the store icon at the top, it'll take you right to our store page. And right now, it's just the Boss Rush Games, Play Games Be Better mantra thing, but obviously this week the POW Block 200 shirts are going to go up, the Arsenal X 100 shirts are going to go up, there's going to be a couple other designs. I think I'm going to make a book club t-shirt as well, like something inspired by Control. Obviously, we can't use that property because we don't own it.
Yeah.
But, you know, every time book club comes up, kind of like Game Informer used to do with their super replays, you know, where they would ask people for inspirational stuff so they can make t-shirts out of it. So I think we're going to do something like that, but I'm not sure.
We should do a spoof on the Reading Rainbow logo.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was thinking about making like a P7 t-shirt. I think that'd be cool. You know, I think people would dig that with some like red kind of like something around it, but nothing too busy because. But yeah, our store is open. And I tried to. Everything was marked up like 25%. And I kind of marked it all down. I mean, just the way Redbubble works is everything is kind of marked up like by default, and you can go through like, okay, t-shirts can be marked up 20%, hoodies can be marked up 10% or whatever. So I kind of just across the board took it down like 10%. So
okay.
But
now, did you is that one of those places where you can like if you want to, like when you're setting something up, that you can actually just have it like where that logo can be put on whatever they decide. Oh, okay.
Yep. So you can put our Boss Rush thing. Let's see, our Boss Rush logo on like
phone cases, things like that.
You can order a mini skirt with the Boss Rush logo all over it. You can order stickers, T-shirts, tank tops, leggings, anything you can pretty much, think of.
Is there any tidy whities for us white folks?
There's I mean, no, but I can. Wow. But yeah, you can order like mugs and stuff, so it's all there. It's fun. It's if you want to find it, it's just redbubble.com/people/bossrushgames. So I'll have the store in the description of all the episodes from now on, and it's on you can get to it from our website. But if you really just want to skip all those steps, it's redbubble.com/people/bossrushgames. So,
and I've bought shirts from that before, and they use some really good materials.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
So,
some of it you have to be careful because like some of the t-shirts you have to make sure you pick like the high quality t-shirt and not just like the generic t-shirt. So,
and some of them too, unfortunately, I think you like whatever size you normally wear, you might want to get a size bigger, depending on I don't remember if they do numbers like widths and lengths and all that stuff on there as well.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. But
also, you can order face masks for Corona. They're on there as well.
Nice.
Masks are kind of expensive, though. I wouldn't recommend buying a mask. But
what are they, like $25 a piece or something?
no,
like
they're
that?
$10. The masks are $10.
Oh, that's not bad, honestly. Because I've seen people selling like a pack of like 2 of them for like 60
Yeah, that's
bucks.
crazy.
So
You can buy a comfy throw pillow for your couch. It's cool. But anyways, we'll talk about that more on the Boss Rush podcast. But I just, it's cool. I think it's cool that this stuff is finally like available. So
Yeah. Well, everybody, our first episode is going to be about Control. This game is from Remedy, developed by Remedy Entertainment and published by 505 Games. It was released on August 27th, 2019, and it received enormous nominations and won Best Art Direction at the Game Awards. And 4 awards at the 23rd Annual DICE for Art Direction, Game Direction, Original Music Composition, and Best Action Game of the Year, and have tons of other nominations and wins. So you guys can check that out. But yeah, we are here to talk about it. We have all played through the whole game. And just to run down a little bit of the story. You take control of our main protagonist, Jesse Faden, played by Courtney Hope, who enters the Federal Bureau of Control, or FBC, in search for answers to find her brother Dylan. When arriving, she notices that the place is locked down and is directed to meet the director. Seeing that he is dead, she takes the gun that was named by him and after a trial becomes the new director. While exploring, she is attacked by enemies simply known as the Hiss. As the adventure unfolds, she meets other characters and gain abilities from objects of power. Will she ever find the truth what happened to her brother, and can she save the FBC from the Hiss? So that's just a little rundown, and there's some more to unfold to this game. But I'm going to start off asking you, Jesse, what did you think of the story of Control?
like, obviously we're gonna kind of be getting more here. The people that were on PlayStation, obviously had gotten it already, because it was kind of a timed exclusive for them to get the rest of, kind of bring everything to get like other stuff together. But so like once we can finish that part, I think I can make maybe my full, but I what they offered in it, I really did like. I like what I liked about the story mostly was like kind of the way that they told things through just like kind of things that you would come into contact with. Like I just absolutely love when you're towards the like kind of in the middle to towards the end there, like when like you're at that point about the objects of power and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But I really like when you're in the area where all the objects of power kind of had containment areas, and they had these rooms where they kind of sealed them away in. And there was a guy that was sitting in the one staring at a refrigerator, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he couldn't move, and because that object of power, if you looked away, it would like basically like kill you. And like, dude, that part was just like, dude, that is so crazy. And like he's just stuck there, like not being able to move. And like just like I was just thinking about that for a moment, just how crazy that would be. And then and then obviously later on you have to go in that area, and you notice that I believe the object of power, was it gone or was it still there, but there was just blood everywhere?
It was still there, but he was gone.
Yeah, there he was gone and blood was everywhere. And
no, that's
are you sure?
Yeah, he was gone, and it was still, and because he moved because she comes back and she's like, he was, the object of power got him. So he wasn't like, there wasn't no bloody thing there. It was, yeah, it
Are
was
you
that.
sure? Okay.
Hmm.
'Cause
Because
I
when you
thought there was blood in that room when you went in it.
because when you come back to it, you see the object of power, and you see the chair still there, but he's gone.
Okay.
Hmm.
I thought there was blood there to tell you that it had got him at some point.
Oh, no,
But
Corey, what did you think of the story?
Um, it was it was fine. Like I think the more interesting bits of the story were definitely in the case files that you found, or the voice recordings, or
Hmm.
when you got to like one of the projectors or the TVs that you turned on and watched the little presentations. The story was
yeah.
definitely there. I felt like the story was kind of lacking in game, personally. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, just not that I was playing the game for this story, like playing the game for the story. Like, I would find little areas to read, the case files and stuff like that, which definitely got wackier as you progress through the game, right? So, like, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
FBI case files, like at the beginning of the game, are definitely like they read like standard case files where you're like, well, this person of interest, blah 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 blah, and like gave a little background, and then like probably 2/3 of the way through the game, I kind of stopped reading them because I collected so many things and I just wanted to like play the game, right? But
Hmm.
once I got to the part where you started following the janitor's visions,
Mhm.
I kind of paused before I did that and was like, I should go back and read some of these ones the more recent ones that I found, and they're definitely like really. Some of them are like just straight up funny. Some of them are
Mhm.
kind of scary. Like it ranges. The stories range all over the place, and it. I thought the story was cool. It was pretty. I think generic's the wrong word, but it hit a lot of basic notes. Okay, Jesse's there to
Hmm.
find her brother, and her brother turns out to be the project that the Bureau was working on. And
Mhm.
oh, by the way, spoilers, we're spoiling the crap out of Control if you didn't know that this what this was. But
Yes.
like
Yeah.
the hiss kind of take over his body, and he's fighting himself inside and whatever, and you kind of go through that, and it was pretty uh, predictable, I would say.
Yeah.
And the janitor guy at the beginning, obviously, he's the first character you meet, and you meet him, and he's kind of weird, and you like it. Kind of was like, okay, he's gonna play a bigger point in the story, whether it's like towards the end or he's actually the bad guy or something. Like, I mean, he's not really the bad guy, but he has a lot to do with more towards the end of the story, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the story was decent. Like it kept me intrigued enough, although it was pretty predictable. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think Jesse's a cool character. I think the supporting cast was pretty well acted and supported and stuff. I think the what's her name, the lady the blonde lady that you meet in the executive sector.
Is it Elaine? I think.
I don't remember what her name is.
Yeah. I should have
But
wrote.
she was very she was very well acted and everything. So I liked that aspect of the game. I thought it was pretty fun and light, but
Oh, Emily.
cohesive
Yeah.
enough. And it was just I enjoyed the story for what it was. I mean, I wasn't really expecting a lot because just based on what I've heard and stuff. Sorry, I knew that like most of the story was in the stuff that you would find and pick up and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it was decent. It was a decent story. So
Yeah, I like the story. It has this sci-fi adventure to it. It surprisingly it leaned more on kind of a Tomb Raider kind of style story, where you're just fighting out all of these things with a little bit of X Files added onto it and stuff. Like, Jesse, as she goes through, she's just like, I'm not the director, please don't call me that. But um she knows that what she needs to do, she's gonna go in and do and stuff. And like
Yeah.
how when she actually meets her brother Dylan and gets some sort of answers and how things play out. It's just like it's Jesse is talking to Paralysis or something like that.
Polaris.
Polaris.
Yeah.
You know, and she's asking Polaris like questions like, you know, can you get me through this? Can you protect me? And you know, using Polaris to clean the room and stuff and everything. And then you find more about that, and it's just like, wow, how all of this all plays out, and there's more to it. And so, you know, you get it's one of those Metroid Prime kind of things where you get the story, but if you want more of it, you go out and search for it. You read the material that you find. You watch the videos of the doctor telling everything. You find out why they have all that black rock and what they could do with it. You know, and how Emily is. You know, how she's. It sounds like she has a bubbly personality, but she at times could be ruthless, like talking about guns and stuff and what they could do with it. But then also all of the scientific stuff and how she's interesting, because it was really good at the end. And when we get to the end, we will reveal some stuff. How it gets to the end, how certain characters, what Jesse does from them, and Artie, who is the janitor, how he plays a role into this. He is kind of like the grandpa in a sense to Jesse, and you kind of respect and love the relationship. You don't know much about Artie, but like you said, Corey, he plays a part into the story, and it gets really interesting on how everything unfolds from there. So it's a really great story. I think it's one of Remedy's strongest stories. I still, like I said, Quantum Break is a really strong story too. I really like that. Also,
just to play off that, I actually think Quantum Break story is a little bit stronger than this. I know, like, obviously Remedy had Microsoft's budget behind Quantum Break, whereas, you know, they're kind of doing it on their own here, and I think they made a lot of smart sacrifices, I would say, by keeping the story simple, reusing a lot of assets and in smart ways, and really kind of, you know, building with what they have. I really thought the things that they cut out or simplified were very smart moves on their part, but you can definitely see some of the rough edges around a lot of the aspects of the game, because I think, you know, obviously 505's game's budget is not going to be as big as Microsoft's budget.
Yeah, they're not going to have a whole entire TV series linked to the game. But, you know, like that's like, for me, what really made Quantum Break so good is, like, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I loved the whole episodic stuff in between things.
It actually like, Control actually makes me want to go back and finish Quantum Break, because I liked what I played of Quantum Break. I just never finished it.
Oh, you never finished it?
Yeah, I really want to go back and finish it now, because it was like, I liked Control's gameplay, and I'm like, I want to go back and finish Quantum Break.
The thing with Quantum Break having a kind of a stronger story is that Quantum Break has more characters and more personalities and traits and stuff.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a better story, though. Well,
the thing about it is that Control has just this one person, this one main character, Jesse, and you don't interact with different characters throughout on a consistent basis, playing different roles. Where Quantum Break is that even when the main character is not doing anything, there are other characters that are filling parts of the story. So it has a bigger narrative because of it has more characters and their traits and stuff. Definitely with the video, definitely with the choices that you make, it's more character driven in Quantum Break than it is in Control. Not saying that Control is bad or anything with the story, but to get more out of it, you know, you have to search for it. That's why I said that kind of Metroid Prime thing, where Quantum Break has a definitive story and stuff, and you can see how each of that plays out. But I'm gonna ask you guys: did you guys have any favorite moments in Control or any favorite characters? Definitely for me, Auntie is like one of my favorite characters. I love how he's singing sometimes, and he's just like, "I'm going to go on vacation, and I need you to make sure that you do this and stuff." And da 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 da. It's like I said, bringing that grandpa to Jesse, and like every time she talks to other characters and brings up Auntie, and be like, Auntie keeps this place really spick and span, really clean. They're just like, yeah, he does. And you, when you find out why, you be like, oh, okay, yeah. Definitely, I think you guys can agree with me. It's definitely the maze when you get the Walkman and you go through that maze and you just hear that soundtrack is so good. That music,
that
that
music
part
was
is
awesome.
really good.
Hey, that song was really awesome, and like it set a whole new tone for the the game. Like I wanted, like it would have been it made me feel like I wanted to be more aggressive, which was definitely the wrong tone to take with that, but like I felt like I was having a better time like trying to get through stuff because I had this cool soundtrack to go through with, and definitely it was fun. I just really liked the the tone of the music and the song and everything. Like it was just it I don't know, man. The way I was like throwing stuff around, it made me want to be like, oh yeah, I did it. I'm doing it. I'm doing the things, like it was awesome.
It made the game feel refreshing. Like this is something new. I'm like, I kind of want more of this. Like I want something different because everything kind of felt the same throughout 95% of the game, and that little maze thing, that little 5%, just changed the whole game for good, in a sense. But what about you, Jesse? Any favorite moments or characters in the game?
Like obviously, like I love the doctor character. The guy who played Alan Wake. Like I think he did such an amazing job of like acting for that part.
Was that Sim Lake?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He like I love that the music video that he did where he's playing that one rock and roll song or whatever, and he's singing. And they have the music video you see playing on a TV or something on the wall, and like I just sat there and I watched the whole thing because the whole music video thing is in there that you can watch. Like that was a really good part. Like without like jumping to it yet, though like I found it challenging at times, I kind of really liked the ending part, like of how how like as you're doing the like doing things and areas are kind of lifting up and a whole nother area pops up, and then you got to go to that area and clear that area, and then a whole nother area pops up. Like I kind of liked the feeling of how they did that ending part. And one of my other favorite parts is when you're in the one room where they've got a whole entire model of her whole entire town that she was from. Like that was so cool, just seeing like this whole like miniature model of like a town like in the middle of this room, and like you could do your powers and stuff and like throw things and rip pieces off of the houses and throw it at stuff, and like it was just, I don't know why, but for some reason it just was really cool looking, just having this miniature of a entire city inside this room, that you could go in and stuff.
Yeah, because Jesse felt like, how did they know this? Like it felt like they built that and they knew the whole time before she even knew about the FBC. Like that. Corey, did you have any moments or characters?
I mean, I thought it was really interesting when she found her brother. Her brother was kind of like this, like watching the Hiss take over someone who's strong enough to become the next director and watch that internal struggle. You know, like that was really interesting to see. I really like. I thought they were kind of leading into this point where they were like the same person, right? And like, like the dream was like Jesse might have been fake, and the brother was dreaming about the split personality type thing. Like that's where I thought they were going when she met the brother, and like you can interact with him and he's telling you the dreams and whatever. And then you get to that part at the end after you, after it fakes you out the first time, after the hexahedron thing, and they start rolling credits, and then it gets all messed up and it puts you in the role of like a assistant or whatever. And you have to like clean up the coffee cups and make copies and stuff. And they like after you deliver the mail to the director, like there's a whole bunch of different scenes that play out when you keep doing it. And like I really thought they were aiming at like doing a split personality thing, and I was like, oh man, this is a big twist, but it didn't end up happening. But I thought that would have been an interesting direction to go with that. I mean, there's a lot of what? Sorry.
Well, I was gonna just say, like, I do have one thing that I like, like as I was going through, like, like playing the game, like thinking of like ways that they could have improved, on the story. And like one thing that I think would have been really cool is, like those...
Well, hold on, Jesse. Save that because that's one of the questions at the end.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
okay.
Save that because I like where you're going. I know I have an idea where you're going, but we're gonna save that part. Speaking of you, Jesse, what is the thought about Jesse in the first place? What did you guys think about her as a character? Do you think she was strong? She was willed? Any parts that made her seem weak or anything?
I think they did a good job of kind of getting across that, just like anyone else, like there are going to be weaknesses where, like where she was kind of like, they almost made it seem like constantly the hiss was trying to, get inside of her, and like they show like a struggle of her almost like fighting it off. And like you'd see times where it like felt like maybe things were Wayne, like when she meets her brother, like the whole, like her, kind of being, seeing herself or whatever. And then, things like that. Like, I think, but for the most part, they showed that, like there were struggles along the way, that she wasn't just this like overpowered character who is completely, like not affected by anything, and, just make it like they did a good job of that character, of showing you that she's a very strong-willed and stuff like that, but she still is human, and still, has, even though she has these abilities and stuff, that she still has, some of those weaknesses of a human being, so.
Yeah, I know the one thing I didn't like about Jessie was her hair. There was something, I think, because the way Courtney Hope looks in Quantum Break, I was just like, yeah, she had her hair slipped back, she was seeming more powerful. But I kind of understand why they went for this look, even that's very small stuff. I kind of like how she was serious at times, but also knowing that, when she think that she can't do nothing, she still is willing to go out there and do what needs to be done and take up the mantle. When she finally realizes that everything is really up to her and why she's now got the role of the director, she kind of understands what she has to do. in this game. And what's good about it is that none of the other characters made her seem small. None of the other characters be like, because you're a woman, you can't do this. No, everybody was just like, if you could get this free, we could get this stuff running. And it looks like she was doing that, and everything. And it like stuff kind of paid off. Like I feel like the voice acting was really good. There were at times that I kind of wish that she did some more screaming, or there was something more like vocally done that Courtney Hope could have did with Jesse. But I could understand at some points why Remedy probably made some of the decisions and stuff. Like she didn't do such a bad job or anything. It was just that there was points that like when she met Jesse, she's just like, Jesse, and then ran to her. It's just like, no, scream for your brother. Like it was crazy. Like there should have been more of an emotional impact right there, and it didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
At times. But like her as a character, I did enjoy. Corey, what's your thoughts about Jesse?
I thought she was a cool character. Like I mean, she was written well. I think Courtney Hope played her well. There was some things, like you said, I wish she would have put more of an aggressive type demeanor into some of the stuff, especially like there's some parts down in like the quarry, or when you are trying to search for different things, or fight like a mini, like a not a mini boss, that's kind of the wrong word, but like a bigger enemy. And I didn't feel like the character was aggressive enough, but I did think that when the story beats were hitting, right, I felt like she was serious when she needed to be. I liked some of her internal monologue to like, she's sometimes she's struggling with what she's seeing. Sometimes she's making jokes, cracking jokes. Like it felt like there were layers to the character that, sometimes you don't get. Like as much as I like the Tomb Raider reboot games, I do think Lara is serious all the time, and I wish there was a different layer to Lara, right? And I really like that Jessie seems to have a sense of humor, even though she's in this really serious situation. So I like Jessie. I think she's a cool character, right? I think she's a really well written and a well acted character when it needed to be. But like I said, there are parts where I wish that Courtney Hope would have played her a little bit more aggressively. But that's a minor nitpick. She's one of the better written characters I've played in a game in a while. So,
and I think they like. I don't know this for a fact. I would like to ask, whoever wrote the story and stuff for this, but I have a feeling like in my opinion, the comedy side that we see of Jesse is kind of that comedy, or like sometimes when you get like overtired, you start to get kind of loopy and weird, and you start to laugh at things that maybe, or think things that aren't really that funny or funny. Like I think like I feel like they did that comedy part because that's almost supposed to be like her going a little crazy, like like she's constantly talking to herself and laughing, and being funny, like in her mind, and like it just makes it feel like you're kind of it's driving you mad a little bit.
Yeah. So the people who wrote it just was Sam Lake and Josh Stubbs. So they are the writers of.
Well, Sam Lake. I think Sam Lake's written everything that Remedy's done, right? He's their kind of president or owner or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So my last question about the story, was the total story worth the playthrough? Like, did you guys, like, did the game really make you want to see it all the way through because of the story? And, like, did you feel like that it actually paid off?
For the most part, they definitely left it open for, a sequel or the DLC, and that was they made that very obvious that they want to do more with Control, right? Like, when she sits down at the desk at the very end and she says, "I'm Jesse Faden, and I'm the director of the Federal Bureau of Control," or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
the hiss can't get in, but they're clearly still here, or whatever. Like, that definitely tells me they want to do more within that universe, which is exciting for them, because I feel like this is really the first hit since Max Payne that Remedy has had on a critical or commercial success, right? Like Alan Wake and Quantum Break were rated high, right? But they didn't sell nowhere near what they were hoping, and it just seems like Control did better all the way around. So, I mean, yeah, I thought the story was good enough and compelling, but you know, I think there are other reasons that I would at least wait for a sale on a sequel if I did, but we'll get into that in a little bit, right? Like, I know, Ed, you and I have a lot of thoughts on that aspect, but as far as the story and the characters go, I really like Jesse as a character. I like the supporting cast. You know, I think the first guy you meet,
Simon?
No.
Simon was creepy, man. Did he creep any of you guys out? Simon, the one dude that's got the like, he was kind of like goofy, and like had like, I don't know, it was something about his face, his facial stuff like that just was kind of creepy to me.
Was that the one in the maintenance?
He was. Yeah, he was. I think he was something to do with maintenance.
Maintenance, because he wasn't. No, Marshall was with security, I think.
Marshall was the lady. Yeah, Marshall was the lady that was like, she was kind of like the badass kind of like, yeah, and that she kind of was like, I think the head of like getting groups of soldiers and stuff together to fight the hiss.
Now, Corey, are you talking about meeting Audie, the janitor? Because that's the first person you meet.
No, I'm talking about crap. What is his name? Simon Arish. That's
okay.
I didn't know his first name was Simon. She just keeps calling him Arish. Okay. Yeah, him. Okay. He was kind of like a smart-assy kind of guy, you know, like he was, I don't know, I enjoyed interacting with him because he's just kind of like, well, we're effed, so I guess I'll wear this cool vest and, you know, send people out on missions, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I liked him, but at the same time, it was something about like his facial animation was just really creepy at times.
What, Jesse, what did you think? Was it worth a playthrough for the story for this game?
I would say definitely, and I'm excited for when we do get the rest of the story, and I probably will honestly play it through like as soon as it comes out. So yeah, I definitely liked experiencing the story and learning about stuff as you went on, and like look forward to learning more about certain things. Like, if I have things that I could say about like what I would like to see happen to make like the story better, should I talk about that now, or is that later?
That's way later. That's way later.
Okay. Because you said the last question or the last thing was
when we get to the last section of the book club. So because to me, I agree with you guys that I think it is worth a playthrough. Definitely when Sam Lake is coming on, he's explaining stuff and like he's telling the joke, what's the neighbor to 666 or something like that. He's like 777 or something like that. And they would just looked at him, and the girl and the lady just closed the door on him and stuff like that. It was just really cool how Sam Lake was playing all these different things and explaining it. And then when you get to the end, you kind of understand like why he was doing the stuff that he was doing and everything. but yeah, the story itself, and finding out by the director on how he ended up dying and how the hits got in and all of this stuff, it's just like, wow, there was so many layers to this game.
Yeah.
And playing through it and getting to like even just part of it, and still be able to go back and be like, oh, I'm still finding stories and stuff
Yeah,
about it.
that's what I was actually going to ask you guys really quick. So the first time I played through it, there's a part I experienced this time playing through that I didn't remember even really seeing much of at all the first time. So okay, there was a room eventually that you went into that had it had a horseshoe, it had a four-leaf clover, it had a fish, it had the I forget what the cat's called, but it's the Japanese white cat that does the paw wave, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was and then there was those like those balls that and they like knock back and forth. In that, when you guys went into that room, did you do the whole like craps table stuff or whatever? Or actually, I don't. Is that craps where you? No, it's the one with the roulette. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Did you guys do the room with the roulette where there was different computers and stuff, and there was all those same things that were in the one room? If you went into that room, there would be different things, and there was different lights and everything. And if you turned them on in certain ways, either you'd have bad luck or you'd have good luck, and you had to try to figure out the balance in order to get good luck for something to happen, and then a secret be revealed.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah, dude. There's a whole part in there where the roulette table, you can see your money is stacked on a number on the roulette table, and so you've got to try to turn and flip, put the four-leaf clover here, and like flip this horseshoe upside down or this way, and if you set everything up just right, you'll have good luck and it will land on your number, and then something happens. But if you don't, like the fire, like the nozzles up in the ceilings at buildings, so if there's a fire, they start shooting water out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, those will come on and start shooting water everywhere, and for a little bit, and all these bad things start happening. Lights start falling and breaking, and pieces of the roof fall in, and all these weird things happen if you get bad luck. But if you get it right, then something good happens. And it was a really cool, it was a fun experience trying to figure out what I had to do, to make the roulette ball land on my number. It was
nice.
funny. Yeah, there's just some like really just weird, cool things like that hidden in that game. And it makes you wonder, okay, well, what else did I miss?
Exactly. Well, we're going to move on to the gameplay. Control is a third-person action game. You can change your gun to other forms of weapons, use telekinesis to throw rocks and other items, levitate in the air, and more. So I want to ask you guys, do you think the gameplay was satisfying or not?
The gameplay was absolutely satisfying. I think it's some of the most fun I've had playing a game like that. I mean, I play a lot of Halo and a lot of Gears, right? And there's some cool things that you can do in that game. And I'm talking like third-person action game, where I think the last time I had that much fun playing a third-person action game was Fallen Order last year. In terms of just straight gameplay, like I love, especially when you start unlocking more abilities, like the levitating and evading and grabbing rockets and throwing them back, which Jesse told me to do early on, which was a huge help. There's a one part early on where you start fighting guys with rockets, and it was really helpful to have that information at the beginning of the game. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I thought the gameplay was awesome. Like I love catching the rockets and throwing them back at guys. I love taking the like the carts with the kind of the propane tanks on them and chucking them at bigger enemies, and like as you progress through the game, you can actually like throw bigger enemies at smaller enemies and take them out. The gameplay was definitely the most satisfying part of this game by far. And I'm not even talking about the shooting, right? I'm just talking about the straight abilities that you get.
Yeah.
I mean, the weapons were fine. Sorry, Ed, I don't mean to keep going. The weapons were fine, right? Like, but I didn't even know like you could change the weapon type until like maybe a quarter of the way through the game. I'm like, oh, I guess I can. I was like, I thought you got a shotgun in this game, and then I started researching, and I was like, oh, you have to like purchase the shotgun, and it's actually part of the pistol.
And yeah. I think that's one thing they should have made clear, because you didn't know that you got a new gun or anything. You just would go to the save and you would see something there and be like, oh, I could purchase a new thing for my gun. Like it just never revealed anything and stuff. Definitely one of the things I like that made it satisfying, definitely with the mind control, and you power it up and you get more people, they kind of shoot and be the distraction thing where you could be like, okay, I need to run to get some energy.
See, I didn't even know that was an ability. I didn't even get that.
Yeah, so when you're
probably would have helped.
when you go to there's a menu on there that you can start unlocking stuff like getting more health, getting more energy, being able to levitate more. And so there's things that's on the side with certain powers that if you unlock it, you have the right material and you unlock it, you could do more things with it. Because there's even a personal mod that you can add to yourself, and it will make it quicker to get to mind read stuff. So you'll lock on them, press X and hold it, and that redness will turn blue once you get their energy low and stuff. And so that helped me during the hexagon fight, that big ball thing. That helped me good, because you could, if the more that you get to it, the more that you can take over people. So if you want to take over those those big machine rocket things, after you get their energy low, you can, if you get the power up. And they helped out a bit. They helped out a bunch. But yeah, just like once you get the hang of the shooting and throwing and the environment and stuff, it gets once you get fluid enough and used to it, it gets really fun. It gets really satisfying. Go ahead, Jesse. What you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. The thing is, though, is a lot of the powers you can actually go through the whole entire game without even getting. Like Corey said, he didn't even get that power. I didn't this playthrough either, just because last time I did get it, and I didn't want to put a whole lot of upgrade points into it.
Yeah.
But like I felt just having the first two upgrades, it really did not do a whole lot. Like I felt like the guys that I would take over really didn't help at all. They were a little bit of a distraction, but they never really seemed to attack the other people. A lot of times they would just stand there not doing anything really.
Well, sometimes if they were shooting them, they would shoot them, and I would see some blue energy drop, and I would go run and get that energy that I needed, and then just help them destroy it and stuff. So.
Yeah. So I had actually, the second time I kind of had an idea of how I wanted to spec my character, just based around the way that I enjoyed playing. So yeah, I didn't even get that power. I don't even remember where you get that one, or where you had to go to get that power. It's been a while since I played through the first time, but
I think in the research area, maybe. I think it may be.
Yeah,
I can't
even remember.
Yeah, it may be somewhere around the research area. It's very weird. But I want to ask you guys, what made it challenging? Because this is part of the frustration of this game, is that even though the gameplay is satisfying, there are times where they're throwing too much, and you're not even strong enough to multitask, or you are strong, but yet off-camera enemies are hitting you, like the little enemies that float and they blow up when you get close to you and stuff.
Or even just sometimes you can have where there was people like up in a rafter, in a different part of the room who could see you from way up there, but you didn't realize they were there. And next thing you know, you're getting shot at with machine guns and, and stuff like that. Yeah, they had, I feel like, way too much line of sight from way too far away at times, I feel like, too, the characters. Like they could shoot you from like way across a big area, it felt like at times, and it was kind of annoying. At times, stuff like that. But
what about you, Corey?
What? Sorry, I was answering something. What? Sorry.
What made the game a little bit challenging?
Oh, what the man? Do I have a lot of words for this one? Sorry, I was responding to some stuff on our social stuff. I don't know, man. It was like there were certain parts of the game I felt like should have been easier. And some like I was telling Jesse last night when we were playing Destiny, I was like, the end of the game should have been the hardest part, right? I feel like that end gauntlet should have been the hardest part, and it was by far the easiest part of the entire game, by far.
Because you kind of knew how to handle everybody.
No, to me no, because I knew how to do that halfway through the game, 3/4 of the way through the game, and like the random spawning stuff that Remedy uses for their enemies was it. I think that made the game worse, right? And like I would enter a room sometimes where there's this one part in particular where I would walk up the set of stairs, I'd walk into the door, and sometimes there would be three guys with the rockets just standing outside the door waiting for me, and then I would die, and the next time I'd run up there and there was one guy with a pistol. Right? Like I think their random enemy stuff is just bad. And sometimes I would walk into a room and duck behind cover automatically, and I would kill a guy, and then two guys would spawn behind me because I killed, quote unquote, killed enough guys to have new enemies spawn. And they would spawn behind me, and I would die because I didn't know they were behind me, right? And that I don't like. I felt like this game was. I don't think it was hard. I think it was unfair. I think some of the parts of the game are unfair, and I understand the point is to upgrade your stuff and get better abilities and upgrade your abilities and stuff to make your way through the game. I felt like I was doing that at a decent pace, although I didn't do a lot of the side stuff, and I know like low health and not enough energy was on me at points, but there were just some points where like I just felt unfairly gunned down, and it really hindered my enjoyment of the game. It really did.
And people probably may think, well, you probably didn't add personal mods. The personal mods sometimes don't help. Even when you have the highest ones, they are enemies that are still taking a chunk of your energy off. And so it's just like, yes, there is a risk and reward, but definitely, like, I think it was the one where you're in the big room. And I think this is when it gets like a little bit closer to the end of the game. You're in the big room and there's like 3 levels or 4 levels of stairs and everything. And it's the part after you get through finding out your city that you lived in. It's after that fight, and this is like almost the last part when you have to fight the floating things that's in a chair that come up, also the other floating things with that grab rocks and stuff that throw at you. When you got 4 or 5 of the blowing up enemies coming at you, and then you got the rocket missiles coming, and you got to try to get them. And it's just like, you want me to float, but that takes energy. You want me to dash, but that takes energy. I'm trying to do so much that you trying to make me multitask, and you only are giving me a limited amount of energy to do this and everything. It gets frustrating. Definitely, to me, what made the game a little bit challenging was definitely dealing with the load times and dealing with the fact that some of these fights were too long.
Yeah, I felt that too. I felt like a lot of the battles, especially like when you would get into multiple rooms in a row that would have, long battles where enemies would just keep respawning and keep respawning and keep respawning. And the checkpointing system, like, really, I give the checkpointing system a little bit of a pass because, it's essentially a Metroidvania game, and you have to find your save points and stuff to upgrade yourself, and those become your checkpoints and whatever. And I get that, right? Like, I get it. But at the same time, I was like, man, I just went through 3 rooms of gauntlets of enemies, probably like 30 or 40 enemies, and I need health really bad. And I'm walking into this next room, and there's still people walking in here. Like, you're gonna there are some pacing issues for sure, I think, in this game. And it sucks because I really enjoyed playing the game, right? Like, this is what I've been saying all month is like, man, and I get, like, at the beginning, it's really kind of slow. It's a slow start, right? Because you don't start out with any abilities, right? I think the only ability they give you at the beginning is the melee push ability. But, like, you don't have evade, you don't have levitate, you don't have throw, right? Like, it just feels like a really kind of mediocre third-person shooter at best. And I really thought the pacing and just how unfairly difficult the game felt at points really hindered my experience of really liking this game, because this game has a lot of cool ideas. I like the atmosphere. I like the setting. I like the characters. I like the abilities. The enemy variation is, I mean, it's take it or leave it, whatever, but I like the idea of this game. It was so cool to explore the oldest house and just find little nooks and crannies and secrets, and it really sucked that I just didn't enjoy it more because of the pacing and how unfair the game felt at points.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse? Anything what made it challenging?
I mean, yeah, because I agree. Like, we had kind of talked about this, that the second time me playing it through, I really, really enjoyed the game, and I didn't have, like, I had very, very little hang-ups, or, like, I breezed through it the second time.
Yeah.
But only because, like, there is a way to really, if you spec yourself just right, you can have, like, a lot of energy, and and, like, there's the different upgrades where you can save energy when you're doing certain movements. And so, like, what I did is I had, like, spec'd mine, so, like, like, I put the level 6 or whatever like, thing for this movement, where whenever I do this movement or do this thing, like throwing, I think I set mine for, where I use 20, I think it was like 23% less energy whenever I throw something, which allows me to throw, like 3 or 4, like 3 more pieces or something like that of things before I completely run out of it. So they're, like, what makes it challenging, in my opinion, is they give you all these things that you can get and do and upgrade, but they don't really do a good job of, like I didn't really care for the whole upgrading system a whole lot. I think if they would have kind of linked some of those powers and up and down power things with the actual upgrading of your abilities. Like, I think what they should have did is, like, with each ability, like, as you upgraded, it would say, upgrades the power usage of this ability by less, 5% less energy is used. Like, I think they should have did something with the actual upgrading of your abilities, link some of that less usage of energy for those abilities with that.
Yeah,
Like
because like
I think that
the
would have helped a lot.
yeah, because like the personal mods and the weapon mods, they take a long time to get to make your gun powerful, to make you feel powerful and stuff. It's because sometimes they'll drop, they have levels, they're ranked, and
Yeah.
you could get like something that's rare, something that's common, something that's like extreme or special and stuff. And it takes a long time to get the right one, and then you got to fight enemies to get certain kind of elements so you can unlock it, and everything. And it's like I came away that I had more uh currency, whatever the currency is. I have more of that than anything else, and I didn't really have nothing for the currency to spend on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you got to do certain jobs to get ability points, and it was just like this level up system is kind of wonky in a
Yeah.
sense. Like when you really need something, and sometimes if you're not thinking about it, but you actually go to a save point to upgrade it, it kind of feels like I wish there was something better for this upgrade system to make me feel like my progress is really paying off, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like that at that time. So it makes the
I-
game a little bit challenging. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
I really felt like the upgrade system was kind of unbalanced because like I never felt the need to like upgrade my melee ability, and I felt like I was doing
Yeah.
just fine. Like I did it. I think I did the first one, and I felt like that was sufficient for the rest of the game. But like,
Same with the shield, I feel like too.
but yeah, but then when I was upgrading my levitation and I felt like to really feel the effects of upgrading my energy and my life, like I felt like I didn't feel any different until I got all the way down to the bottom of the tree, right? Like it just felt really strangely unbalanced in a way. And like I understand that like yeah, enemies get more aggressive towards the end of the game, and you like it's supposed to feel like you're leveling up with the game, right? But it still felt like even when I would go back to those beginning areas and enemies were like taking shots at me, I was like, man, I'm already down to a quarter health, and I just walked in the room, you know, and it goes back to that, I don't know, unfairly difficult type thing.
Yeah, and which I was going to ask you guys: did the abilities you gained, like, were they useful or anything? I think
I think
to me-
half of them were.
yeah, because like the Superman or the punch down part, the melee stuff, I really didn't even do that. Like even with the dodge, I would use that from time to time, but I'm constantly running. So what am I dodging? Once I got the shield and I got the power to throw my shield back at enemies, it kind of felt like, well, if I got enough energy to hold my shield, I'll wait till they get done shooting, throw it at them, and then start popping them and everything. Like even with the rock throw and stuff like that, it kind of felt like everything that you grab and throw at them really don't do much unless
You
like
fully upgraded it.
yeah.
Like I almost fully upgraded mine. Like I think I was only like one thing away from its full power or whatever.
Mhm.
And at that point, like, because that's why I wanted to do that, though, is I knew that once you get lower on that was the most useful power in the game as far as taking enemies good chunks of their health off. And just like throwing it in general, throwing stuff for a lot of them is the fastest way to deplete their shield, like instantly. That red glowing that would be around them.
Yeah.
Like that was basically the only way to get that shield down quickly without taking too much damage. And so like, yeah, like I really basically ended up speccing my character to just focus on having a lot of energy, a lot of health, and being able to throw things and do a lot of damage with throwing things. And then the rest of my upgrades basically just went into levitating, so I could levitate for longer for certain things, that I knew I would run into later. But yeah, like I said, I honestly, it's unfortunate that it really felt like the that the first time you play this game, you're probably not gonna enjoy it as much as you were hoping. But when you play it through the second time with the knowledge that you've gained from the first time, it's definitely way easier.
Yeah, because I was going for the last question about the gameplay. What didn't work for you guys? Like, I think like the melee didn't work for me. The dash could have worked if it was more useful when I was levitating, because I was still getting hit at times when I was in the air levitating and everything. And I was just like, most of the guns I like, out of the 5 guns that were given to me, I kind of used the Shatter, which was the shotgun, like the rapid fire machine gun, and then the main pistol and stuff. Like, those were the 3 ones I was using, because I couldn't really use like the Pierce one, the Stumper one. It wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
It does, but you have to. That one is a particular one where it's really only useful if you have to upgrade it fully to where you get 3 mods or the 2 mods on it or whatever.
Yeah, the more mods. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what I did is I put where when you're aiming down sights, it does like 40% more damage or something like that. I put that on it, and then I also put, I believe where I had another shot, so I had more than 3 or whatever. I think I had 4, and like as long as you did where you could, it did more damage, per shot, like that, then it was very useful. Like I could take out a guy in 2 shots usually. It was almost like a sniper rifle once you had it like upgraded to having, do a lot of damage. Actually, you know what? I think at one point I did where it does like 40% more damage, and then the other thing I did was something where it also added damage to my attack or something at some point. Yeah, because I only used the regular pistol and then the Pierce, and that was it. Those are the only 2 I used.
Go ahead, Corey. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I use the main pistol like 90% of the time. I think there's only one point where I was like, okay, I'll do the shotgun style thing, because it staggered enemies and like the bigger enemies, and it allowed me to, like, while it was recharging, I could dash away and throw something at them, and then kind of switch back to the regular pistol and take them down that way. But like I didn't feel like any of the other weapons were as useful, especially at range, like a decent range, right? Like then the base pistol, and that's, I don't know. Yeah. I thought that was kind of like, you gave me all these options for weapons. It's the same issue that I have with gears sometimes, where like they give you like the most universal weapon at the beginning of the game that you never want to like remove it. Like you always want to have it in your arsenal, and like the other weapons, yeah, they're cool, but like this one's definitely the most effective and has the coolest, or the most effective way to take someone down. So I don't know. I didn't really use any of them, to be honest with you, except for like there were a couple side missions where they're like, "Oh, kill 10 people with the
spin,
yeah." And then I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll go find 10 people and kill them."
Yeah, like because for me, I did use the main pistol, but like once I got spin and the shotgun uploaded, I kind of found out, okay, this is a strategy I'm going to use. I could do the shield, I could throw, or I could like grab a rock or something and throw it. In which the telekinesis kind of felt like those were like grenades that just exploded when you hit them, in a sense. Yeah. And then when I got the energy download, hit them with the shotgun, and then if they're not doing nothing, hit them with I may need my energy recharge, so let me do my rapid thing, hit that, okay, something else, I have enough to pick up a rock and throw it at them, and just like I kind of was like repeating a lot of stuff with the weapons.
There was actually one more weapon I did use. I just completely forgot about. So I did use the one that you'd hold it down and it would load up 3 rockets.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did use that one, only because I found out a way to use it to your advantage. So with that gun, if you just let it load up one rocket, and
Hmm.
release it right away. But then the second you release you gotta quick use your telekinesis or your your powers to pick up things. You can actually then grab it out of the air, lock on a guy, and then be able to throw it at him. So
Hmm.
because otherwise it doesn't lock on. It just shoots wherever you're aiming.
Yeah.
They just kind of slowly go. And so that it was very, very life-saving at times. Just if you could time it just right, that once you let that rocket go, then quick grab it out of the air and then just be able to lock on someone and then guarantee that it hits them and does full damage.
Yeah.
So that was very useful, but it took some time to really learn the timing of how how long you have the second that rocket releases to be able to quick push
To
the
master
button
it.
to grab it. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to the graphics and technical aspects of Control. Control has 3D character models with a cinematic filter for its look. I think most of the models were motion capture and used live recordings and puppetry for certain parts of the game. So when you meet Sam Lake as that doctor or as that scientist, that's like live recording in a
mhm.
sense. And then there are some TVs that you could cut on, and these puppets are doing like an animated TV show and everything. And all of that helps deliver more info about the FBC. But I want to ask you guys: did the art stand out to you? Like this, the cinematic like monotone and all of this bright red when you like see the his eyes, and there's some
Mhm.
areas that was like kind of locked off because it was all full of red, and if you went into it like you would hurt yourself. Did you think the art stood out for you for this game?
Like, yeah, like for me, definitely, because like like when it comes to TV shows, movies, I'm not really into action movies, like,
Mm,
all these crazy car chases and things like that all going on screen. It's, for me, a lot of that stuff is I'm just like snooze. But like for me, I like sci-fi type stuff, and so like, having these cool rooms that are like all mutated, and then like when you clear it of like hiss or whatever, she kind of does that the thing where she like sucks the bad
she cle-
energy or something.
she
Yeah,
cleans it. Yeah.
cleanses it. Like, and then you see it just like morphine all back to the way that it was meant to be.
Hmm.
Like for me, like that kind of stuff, uh like when it comes to theatrical like kind of things, like that kind of stuff is what I love. Like I love that, like just weird kind of stuff like that over like the actiony stuff. And that was one thing that I really liked about this game, and is all the actions, kind of theatrical stuff, that was all happening as you're playing. Like you were
Hmm.
controlling that. That wasn't just something you were watching. And all the cool, like, science-y, weird kind of sci-fi stuff was all stuff you were getting to see in like cutscenes and stuff like that. And so I really loved that about this game. And it just looked amazing, like when you'd have the glowing red, like
Yeah.
especially those balls that would teleport around. Dude,
Yeah.
those things were so cool looking, and just like it was just so neat.
It looked at something like one of I think Quantum Break shields. It
Yeah.
kind of had that effect to it. I was just like,
Yeah,
oh,
like
this is so cool.
a mirror effect, like almost to the outside
Yeah.
of it. It was
What
so
about
cool looking.
what about you, Corey?
I really thought the style of the game was cool, especially, I mean, like Jesse said, after you cleanse an area and you just see the building go back to how it was supposed to look, right? And I just thought, like, it was cool. And then when you would go into those trials where you would get a new power or whatever, those kind of astro spaces or whatever, I thought those were, like, the coolest parts of the game. I love the thing that gets me every time in a game or in design or movies or whatever is when somebody can take something that looks so simple and make it look cool and clean and crisp, and that's, I mean, Control definitely had that for me. I love like the dark blocks and the white kind of space with the yellow kind of either enemies or just like the white accents on the blocks, or like I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. You know, I love those aspects. And I mean, like, the building was well designed and everything too, right? Like I think I think putting those stylish pieces in a boring setting is awesome.
Yeah.
It felt weird because you think when you enter the FBC, like, it's kind of small and you see it looks kind of basic and plain, but then you go throughout and you see like the carpet and the wooden panels and everything in the first area, and then it's just like it's white and clean, and then it gets like when you get into the sewers and stuff, it's all just the disgusting animals and the smoke effect and everything. And it was just like different areas. Definitely when you get to the hotel and you switch, like when you click in the light, I kind of like that.
Oh, that was so awesome.
Did you guys hear one part? I think it's when you get to the hotel the second time and
There's
dude is
knocking on the door.
He's just like, hey, is anyone in there? And it's just like, do you not hear this? It like that stuff was like cool. Really cool and everything. Like, I definitely enjoyed the art to this. I think when we saw the trailer, that red popped.
Yeah,
and it was just like, what is this? This looks crazy. I love this color. Oh, this is Remedy Control. Yes, let me have it. Something about that red and just her floating and stuff, like, oh yeah, this is for me. And I think it was just like the way that they presented when they first showed the trailer at PlayStation 4's event. It got everybody interested, and they just do that throughout the whole game. And it kind of gets creepy because there's one part, there's a side part where you got to get this little mushroom thing for one of the researchers, and it smells good. And if you eat it, it turns you into a monster. But she made a kind of potion thing for Jesse, and Jesse's just like, oh, okay. And then she eat it, and it tastes disgusting. And then it actually works in her body where she can smell stuff, and it smells disgusting, but it keeps you immune to all of that. Like, and it helps you get into other areas. And I was just like, oh, that's really cute. That's really cool. Seeing this like cotton candy smoke effect to it, and just like,
so you have to find someone to get through those areas to get like a.
Yeah. So when you go into when you get your levitation, if you go back to the big area of the research part, if you go all the way downstairs, there's a yellow area that you could only kind of like, if you levitate it, then let yourself like float down, you'll get to another area where another researcher is at, and it's very optional. That's one of the optional bosses that you come into, but she wants you to get. Yeah, she wants you to go get her a sample, bring the sample back, and once you get it, when you start the game, when you're heading to the first, kind of like almost close to the maintenance area in a sense, once you get through that door, you're like in a cafeteria in the thing. There's a room that has these spores and stuff. You can't get into it until you get that immune effect.
Yeah, and I was always wondering what I needed to do to get that, because neither time playing through I really found out about that. So
because I was like, I wonder if this is just some sort of like weird ability I need to get that I just didn't do any of the side stuff for. And I mean, it makes sense now, but
was there any favorite areas or effects, like the lighting, coloring? We kind of talked about that. I know we all talked about the maze and stuff. I think one of the areas that I did like was the like the third open area where you see all the other objects of powers that's there. Like they had like a goose, one of the goose rowboat things that you have that's
Yeah,
just sitting
yeah,
right there, and it's just like, wait, what the heck is this? It's just all of these different power things. And it's just like they took ordinary stuff and each of them do something. And it was kind of cool just seeing like this big open area, and it's just like, how big is this building?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely agree with you. Like one of my favorite things about the game is the whole concept of the objects of power. I have more to say about that later when we talk about things that I think they could have did better. But yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Corey?
I don't know, man. I like the foundation, like the secret kind of jukebox area where you get the jukebox tokens and you go in there.
Yeah.
And I
It
think
was
that
hard to get through though.
yeah, I know
They'll pick
they're
your tail.
pretty difficult. I kind of stopped after the third one because it was just kind of like, this is hard, and I should probably do some side stuff before I do this. And
Yeah.
then I just kind of didn't get around to it. But I think the foundation is cool. I think the quarry is cool. Anything with that kind of design too is really, really cool. I like the area towards the end when you're following Ati's visions or whatever, and you get to that part where you ride the cart over across the black abyss or whatever, and you get there and you just realize it's kind of not really anything, but it's it's cool. Like that area looks cool,
Where it's just pillars.
Yeah.
It's basically just
Yeah.
pillars and darkness.
Yeah.
Because Audie is giving you the Walkman so you can get through the maze,
Yeah.
and he's like this god. That
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
looked.
know. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I looked at him like I looked at him as the like, like in Ghostbusters, the gate master, the key master. Like he was like the back door of a computer to get behind everything. Like kind of like he was knew like a special way that you could like bypass basically the hiss and be able to stop them, kind of thing, or get to her brother or whatever. But yeah, like
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's why he was having you do stuff and calling you his assistant, his replacement and stuff.
Yeah.
So when it got to that part, you were just like, oh, okay, now I understand. Because you
Yeah.
kind of, to me personally, I didn't want Adi to go, but
yeah.
when in the bigger picture of it, you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because well, in a sense, it's almost like the director is nothing more than a face, like almost, or well, I guess a face or a person. It's almost like the director is second in command. They're the person who will one day replace the janitor.
Yes.
Like it's almost backwards. It's like here you have this person who would be the top of person of an executive building, but in reality, the most important person is the janitor.
Yes. But I want to ask you guys, what issues did you have which may have hurt the game? Like, me and Corey could agree. Like, we didn't feel like this game was Game of the Year nominated worthy.
Can I say something before we move on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought the maze was cool.
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
like the way the rooms would transform and stuff. I thought that was probably the coolest visual in the entire game too. Like, I mean, there was cool areas that you could look at, but I'm talking in terms of like animation and how quick it was and how like the rooms would
pace.
transform on kind of on the fly. It was like really cool as you were running through it. Like, I thought it was awesome.
It was very smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
especially that one where you're moving through and there's like all these like different things going like that, and you've got to kind of try to keep on landing on platforms to move all the way down to the end of it.
Yeah.
Like that part was kind of cool too.
Yeah, and like with all the technical problems that I experienced on my playthrough, like for how smooth that ran and how, just how quick everything was really cool. So but anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to like.
No. You're right. Because that's why I said it was leading to the next part. Like, what about this like kind of hurt the game? What things do you guys personally feel that hurt the game? And like I said earlier, me and you, Corey, kind of feel like this game isn't game of the year nominated, but it's still such a great game. Like I always said that it wasn't the gameplay and it wasn't the story, it was the technical issues, the long loading times, sometimes the camera, you getting stuck in some places, and it was just like.
Well, even like loading assets into the game, like I would walk through doors and like the floor would be missing, or like walls would be missing, or just certain things where like I would go to throw something and it would say that I had something to throw, but it wasn't like by me, and like and it wasn't one of those situations where I grabbed something across the room and just threw it. Right? I was holding the shoulder button. I switch all the controls, so I don't really know how you guys played it, but like. The right shoulder button, like I would hold it so I could bring the object closer to me so I could better aim the object, and it just like it would just not be there. But then I would throw it and the guy would die. So I'm like, oh well, I guess I just threw an invisible rock at this guy. And especially down in like the sewer area, like the room before you go into where you fight those poop monsters. I don't really know what they are, but you know what I mean. Like assets would just not pop in like for minutes at a time, literal minutes at a time. I would walk through the door and I would be standing on nothing. Like the game would register that there was supposed to be a floor there, but there was no floor, right? And so I don't know, man. I experienced a ton of technical issues playing this game, and loading out of the menus was like atrocious. Like I found myself multiple times unpausing the game and then dying because the game wouldn't load fast enough for me to be able to move.
And that was a weird thing when you hit the because we all played it on Xbox One. So when you have like the double screen kind of button on your left, when you hit that and unpause it, it didn't take long. But if you hear right, but if you hit the triple line one, the button that's on the right by the X on top of the Xbox, it took about 5 seconds to load. It was still catching up, and you would get killed if you was in a boss fight. And it was just like, what the heck why this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
that was really the only major one that I had. I did, I think, once or twice. I think I did have that same thing where when you would pick something up, it would say that you have an object. You'd hear the like sound that it makes, but there'd be nothing there.
Yeah.
But when I would throw, there would be nothing there. Like it would say that I had something and I threw it, but it nothing. It wasn't nothing.
Another fight. Another problem that I have with it, and I think it's the fight where you're about to get your levitation, and it's the room is all red, and because the enemies are red and they got the shield, they fade in with the color sometimes, so it's hard to see where they're at and trying to run and react and everything, and it's just like. If you would have made this where anything is, because even when I made it, like I had to make the game a little bit dimmer and everything so I could make sure, but I didn't want to make it too dark where I can't see. It was just like, if you guys were able to make these enemies visible in this fight, it would have been easier. But when they fade into that red, it gets hard sometimes. Because I had to, when I played it the first time, I had to do that fight 3 times over, and it's a long fight because you got
Yeah.
regular enemies, but then you got the enemy who got the rocks flying around him, and you have to wait for those rocks to come to shoot at him. But then he'll throw some stuff at you, and it's just like, okay, I got to get back my shield, and it kind of takes it makes the fight really long. So it's taking about 7 to 9 minutes to get through with them and everything.
Yeah.
So I was just like, there's areas. Uncharted did that at one time, where some of the enemies were hard to see because they blended in with the background, and it was just like, why am I getting shot at? I can't see this guy. Then you see it and be like, oh, okay, they blended in with them.
Mhm.
So, which leads to like the last question of the show. What can they do to improve if a sequel is announced? Definitely Q&A this game. Fix the technical problems. Definitely with the loading and the unpausing. Fix that.
Yeah, I mean, if they do a sequel, like, I would really like them to definitely make it next gen exclusive kind of thing, where, you know, they need to. It seems like what they wanted to do with this game, they couldn't use the power of the Xbox One X or PlayStation 4 Pro even to at least limit the technical issues. You know, you said QA it. I think there's a lot of technical problems under the hood as well. Like, I think I don't know, man. I just feel like that there's a great foundation for a game here, right? And the sequel, I think, could really benefit from the extra power, the extra asset generation stuff, the extra, like, even something like, if you watch the videos of the PC version with ray tracing on, looks phenomenal. 60 frames a second, I think, would definitely help this game. There's just a lot of aspects of next gen that I think would help a sequel to this game. I hope they do make a sequel, and I hope it's great. And I would play a sequel even though I didn't enjoy this game as much as a lot of other people did. I'm still intrigued by a sequel because I think the characters and the abilities carry this game enough for me to want one. So,
and for me, definitely, I really think Alan Wake 2 should use what Control used gameplay wise. The gun and that gun and that flashlight, get rid of that mess. If you're gonna have guns, I like the fact that the gun is
it seems like these games are definitely set in the same universe, right? Like it's
yes.
basically confirmed, right? Like I mean, I know there's Alan Wake references and stuff in Control.
Yeah,
I think he actually is in Control. There's a picture of him, I think, at a typewriter or something.
Yeah, he's in one of the pieces that you find, right? Like one of the collectibles. I think a character profile of Alan Wake is in there.
The next DLC for Control is gonna go back into Alan Wake, to Blackwater.
Which I'm guessing his typewriter is probably like an object of power or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Or his flashlight, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Jesse, anything that you would want to improve in this game?
Okay, so like this is like
this is where the story part comes in that you want to mention.
Yep. Okay, so like I agree with what Corey said about like kind of those areas that you go in to get to the object of power, to finally get the power of that object. Like, they were cool, and they kind of reminded me for some reason of Super Hot. Like it just was, you know, because it was very, like, it just reminded me of Super Hot because they're just faceless people. Like, you'd have those red ones or whatever at certain points. Gold ones. Yeah. But at the same time, I really would have liked them to maybe use those areas as a way to give us some backstory or lore of the actual object of power. Mm-hmm. Like some explanation as to why this you know object, or why this whatever this creature, this force is, like why it chose that specific object, you know, like did a little bit more lore explanation in kind of in that search for that object.
And you like the director can tell you like he's having like a flashback what Sam Lake as the doctor told him. So when you get close to that part or you about to get to it, the director's talking to you and then bam, just do it. Even a cutscene. I'll take a cutscene for this. And it's Sam Lake explaining that object of power.
Yeah. Yeah, like that was something that went through my mind. Like I felt like, like these rooms look cool and all, but I almost would like them to be almost like shrines in Zelda, where it's like you've got to kind of figure something out, a basic puzzle, but as you're kind of figuring that puzzle out, you're learning more about that object of power. And then, like you kind of are given that last little piece of information, and then there it is in front of you. And like you said, like, yeah, they could have like, like the doctor talking about whatever, the scientist talking about whatever, or, like just something, because like in my opinion, the object of power, each one of them is a character in this game.
Yes.
But they feel like a character that you're really not learning anything about.
And I think what they could do, like you said, like they could if they get a bigger budget or whatever, or maybe a better publishing deal than through 505 or whatever, they could turn this 12-hour game into a 40-hour game with all these objects of power, right? Like you said, you could like you said, shrine type stuff from Zelda, like they could definitely do something like that. Like they played around with some puzzle stuff, like with the big crate battery things, and you had to throw the crate batteries at the plugs to open stuff or find new passages or whatever. And I thought that stuff was cool, but they definitely didn't do enough of that.
Definitely with like the code thing, you have to get the papers and make that code.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, those were cool too.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about the ending, and then we're gonna let you guys go. So at the ending of the game, after you release the big ball thing, you go like Corey mentioned, there's a credit scene that rolls, and then stuff starts happening to the credits, and it's kind of like Dylan has taken over. So you're in this office and you're making copies and stuff, and you're bringing the mail to the director, which is Dylan, and it keeps repeating over and over, and then it kind of goes like black and red, and it keeps getting dreary. You find yourself, I'm assuming you find yourself in Dylan's head in a sense, and now you're fighting all the hits. You make it through the hits, and you get to the top, and you're touching Dylan's head, and you put him into a coma and everything. So you kind of cleanse him of the hits, and you end up becoming director. You give Emily a promotion, and like doing all of this other stuff. And then it says control and the credits roll. It may not be in that order we give Emily and everything, but the game does continue to go on if you want to do some side quests and 100% it, and then there's the DLC stuff. But that's how Control ends. You actually cleanse Dylan and put him into a coma, and you take the role of the director. Did you guys think it was a nice fitting ending to it?
I think they did a pretty good job of kind of, for the most part, clearing up some of the stuff with the brother. I mean, there are some points that I kind of wish we would get a little bit more of story of what exactly was happening while her brother was there or whatever. Just like a little bit more of, like how everything started to unfold and stuff like that, which, I mean, maybe there is a bunch of that in stuff you got to read. Because I kind of the same, like I do want to go back one of these days and actually just read it like it's an actual book. Just go through and read all the stuff I picked up, because I tried to still pick up every little piece of information that I could find, like I would search everywhere and just make sure I'm trying to pick all that stuff up. I'm sure I still miss stuff, but yeah, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job of wrapping it up as much as they kind of wanted to, because as we got more kind of addition to the story that's coming out and stuff for Xbox. But again, I think that's one of those things where I almost have to play the rest of that. I have to play that add-on stuff to see if they how they end that part, because technically that's the end. In a way it's almost the ending, but if, for the standalone game, I think they did a pretty good job.
Corey, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I feel like they created an ending to, it wasn't really the end. It felt like a ending to the story in that particular moment, but it felt like that it was a ending that was like, okay, there's more coming. This is just the end of chapter 1 or whatever, right? Like, and so, it was fine, whatever. But that, like I said, I felt like the end part of the game was the easiest part of the entire game, and I felt like that part should have been not terribly difficult, but like harder than me just walking into a room with random guys shooting at me, right? And it didn't. So I don't know. I thought the ending was cool. I thought that area was definitely really cool looking. And making your way up to Dylan was really cool, and I definitely thought the ending was cool from a gameplay perspective. It was the first time I felt like, okay, I feel super powerful. I feel like I can take all these guys on at once, and they gave me a cool area to do it in. It really felt like I wish the rest of the game was like this, and so I don't know. It ended on a good note for me, which is usually the opposite, where I'm enjoying playing the entire game, and the ending is either atrociously difficult and it leaves a sour taste in my mouth, or it just something else happens. So it was a pleasant end to that game, for sure.
Yeah, and I like the way that they ended. It's a good way to set up. It's a good way to set up this. I hope that this game become a series, whether it be 2 games or 3 games. It's a good introduction for a game. They ended it on the right note. There's still more questions, but now that we know that Jessie is determined, she's a director, she knows her role. There's more to the story. There's more to the bureau and everything. So
Alan Wake just needs to write the rest of it.
Oh goodness.
That's my guess. Is I actually think that we were living out a story that he wrote in the first game.
I wouldn't be surprised that for the DLC.
Like I think it's gonna be something like like something crazy like that, where we're just living out. Again, that's just a guess from me, but.
Yeah. There is and I forgot to look this up, but if you go onto YouTube and you guys type in Control, a deep dive, there are videos that talk about different things about the hiss, about the FBC, about how it's connected to Alan Wake, and how 2 of those characters in Audie are gods. It's the 2 brothers who are friends, who are like there to rock and roll and stuff. They made the music that Audie is listening to. So it has a connection right there. It's really good. And they're like 40-hour videos. But the guy, he goes in and deep dives everything. It's so good.
There was one thing I was going to mention that I thought was hilarious, is that his Walkman was supposed to be a Sony, but it was called Pony.
Yeah.
And I was just like, is that a low-key joke diss at Sony? Because people call them ponies.
Well, it could have been a marketing thing too, where
I know
they don't want Sony products showing up on a Microsoft product. I don't know. It could have been something as stupid as that. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, that's everybody. That is our discussion about Control. Once again, thank you guys for playing the game with us. But we have another game, and I'm going to let Corey introduce next month's game.
Yeah, so next month we are going to, June's game, I should say, because I think I'm going to try to get this up by June 1st, which is tomorrow as of this recording. We're going to be playing through Tomb Raider, the reboot of the 2013 reboot of the classic series. So you should join us, and should be fun. I'm playing the definitive edition on Xbox One. So
I'm playing same SCV.
So, I mean, it's available on Xbox 360, PS3, Steam. It was free on Steam for like a whole month during this quarantine stuff. So, it's also available on current gen platforms. Not available on Switch. So, sorry everybody who wants it there. But
so yeah, so we're playing the first one of the reboot, not the anniversary.
Yeah, no, it's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that people understand, because
Ed thought we were playing Tomb Raider
reboot.
1 on PlayStation 1, so when I said we were playing Tomb Raider, so
So it's just like, ooh, that's
like
a
when
throwback.
That's like when you say I'm playing Destiny. It's like, oh, the first one?
Yeah.
It's like, no, Destiny 2.
It's like, what's say Destiny 2? So
No.
So yes, everybody. Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am CoreyNHD on Twitter and Instagram, and CoreyNHD on Mixer and Twitch. And you can also find me on Nintendo Power Block and Arsenal X podcasts with these knuckleheads.
Jesse, where can we find you?
You can find me almost everywhere as Phantom NXS, including TikTok now.
Man, does this mean I have to start making TikTok videos?
No, you don't have to. Like, honestly, like I said, it's not even for consumption. I don't really watch videos on it. I just I've always loved making, editing videos. Like I've told you guys before, back in the day, I used to just make like animated music videos and all that stuff just for fun. So, like this is letting me be able to just kind of go back to that kind of fun stuff again and just post stuff on there.
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode. Check out Optional Opinion. Check me on Nintendo Power Block, Boss Rush Games. You can also follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Podcast. Check us out on BossRushGames.com for our website. Check us out on Boss Rush Games on YouTube. Check out our Facebook page. We have a Destiny clan on Xbox and a Boss Rush Community clan page there. So everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. We will see you next time for the Boss Rush Book Club with Tomb Raider. With that, everybody, peace out. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.